Israel. Shalom, Israel. This is Brother Yahweh from the Three Hebrew Boys. It's Thanksgiving morning, and last night I listened to a video, one of the Hebrew camps, and it kind of surprised me at the things he was saying. And it's like he's backsliding now, and he's using Paul's writings to give, I guess, the people in his congregation an excuse to celebrate this day, Thanksgiving, and probably Christmas when it come up, because his congregation is so young. I won't call off the camp or the elder's name, but what's happening is he's now using the very same thing that he uses against the Christian churches by saying that they don't understand Paul's writing. Now he's using Paul's writing to give an excuse for you to go and celebrate such a horrible holiday like Thanksgiving. And I go to the scripture that he's using, and then I'm gonna go to another book, and I'm gonna explain to you about Paul and the type of person Paul was, and why Paul writes in such a way that it seems like the Most High is for everybody, the way Paul wrote his notes and books. But there's a reason why Paul wrote the way he did. We're going to go into this book called Judah Tremble Under Rome. If you get a chance, get that book. The book is expensive. I had to catch it when the price came down. But if you get that book, it explains a lot, and it explains to you about Paul and what Paul did and why he pretty much wrote the way he wrote. Because in the beginning, when he was with the Messiah, he was all about Israel. He was all about Judah. He was not about other Gentile nations until a certain event happened. We're going to that book and see what that was. But let's go into the scripture, 1 Corinthians 9 and 19. This is the scripture that I heard last night. It just bothered me when I got off work this morning. I had to make a video because I feel that if the Most High wakes you up and you start to understand and seeing things different, realizing that your nationality is not what it is, realizing who Edom really is, and you really getting a good understanding of this book. I think when the Most High taps you on the shoulder, and he is going after certain people, but I think in this situation, these kids, it's bothering them because they're so used to these pagan holidays. And now that the family is gathering together, when you like in your, I guess, 20s, mostly in your 30s, you're so used to being around family, it bothers you that you have to be separated. And I think they're going to the elder with this. The majority of his congregation, of all his churches, are mostly 20s and 30s, maybe some in the 40s, but most of them are youth. So he has to keep them intact some kind of way. This is why I think he came out with this Thanksgiving video. But if you get a chance, you can put it up on YouTube. I don't want to really call out his church. He's a good guy. And he means well, and he's been teaching for a long time. The brother was the worst I've seen, because you're trying to get people to straddle the fence of these pagan holidays. Family, it bothers you that you're not with your family. You have to understand when the Most High calls you. You have to put the Most High above your family, even your children, husband, and wife. The Most High comes first. So if it bothers you that you can't be with mama or daddy, and this is things that he was saying with his congregation, because they're asking him, can they still do this and do that? Me being the age I am, I'm not going to ask another man anything. I can read these scriptures and books for myself. But there are so many youngsters that's in this congregation. Now he's starting to make it seem like, well, it's okay if you go. If you do go, let's say if they say a prayer, then you go to the restroom or somewhere in another room. Why even go if you have to go through that? If they get ready to eat, well, you got grace, so you can eat whatever. Grace will cover you. What's the point? Or another one, is you can only like pick out certain foods. It's a lot of excuses that he was using to say, okay, you can be there but not be there, which makes no sense at all. And you can't compare our times to Roman times when Paul was writing. Two different time periods. We're coming out of slavery. Paul was never in slavery. They had hard times, but they were never out of slavery. We are children of slaves. So we are coming out of pure deep darkness. So when you see that this God that you had that you never knew, now he's coming out with this video now, he's sounding so different. But let's get into 1 Corinthians 9:19. For though I be free from all men, yet have I made myself a servant unto all, that I might gain the more. That, in other words, you blending yourself in with Gentiles to try and gain a few to pull out. That doesn't work in these times, because when people see you straddling the fence, you calling yourself a Hebrew, but yet you coming to these functions and you're only eating certain foods, but yet you there. The people there are saying you're no better than us, because if you're going to be a Hebrew and you finding out your heritage, you wouldn't darken this place at all, period. It wouldn't matter who's in that house, mother, father, cousin. The Most High chose you for a reason. And he's also picking for 144,000. Now, those have to be strong people that push the Most High above their family. When I got woken up, I had my sister call me the other day and asked me whether I coming to the Thanksgiving dinner, which is today. And I told her nicely that I don't celebrate. I'm not going. So I don't understand how come these kids are coming to this church with all these bunch of questions, making this elder feel kind of bad now. And he's using these scriptures, Paul's writing, to say you can go but. You can eat but. What's the point of even going? You either going to change or you're not going to change. And I'm going to this Thanksgiving holiday so you can see how terrible and evil these people did to Native American Indians, the Gadites, the tribe of Gad. There's no way in the world I would eat anything on Thanksgiving, because it represents the murder and the beheading and everything that they did to the North American Indians. Why would you even compromise just a little so you can see your auntie and uncle? See, you're not changing in the heart, you're changing in the mind. Let's go to 20. And unto the Jew, Paul is straddling a fence for a reason. He's blending in with certain Gentiles to try and see if he can get the truth to them by blending in. Now that may have worked then, but that's not going to work today. This is the problem I have with some of these camps with these young bucks in there trying to teach. What worked then may not work today and probably won't work today because, like I said, we come from slaves and we are so happy to have some kind of freedom that we have, the education that we have now compared to the Jim Crow era. So it's a huge difference between this time and that time. And unto the Jews I became as a Jew, that I might gain the Jews. To them that are under the law, as under the law, that I might gain them that are under the law. These were black people here, these not the Jewish people. Because there were some blacks, Negroes back then was calling themselves Roman. They were Gentiles. But he knew that they were Jews. So he would blend in with these black Gentiles. Just like me going in a black neighborhood, acting all gung-ho just to try, instead of just being myself, I have to act like them. This is basically what this holiday. The holiday is so demonic, you have to tell them youngsters, you either gonna give it up or you're not. If it bothers you that much, then just go and do what you've been doing until it touches you in your heart that, hey, I've had enough. But don't tell people to straddle the fence, go but, do this but. And this is the problem I had. I couldn't even finish the video. I got so angry with it. To them that are without law, as without law, being not without law to God, but under the law of Christ, that I might gain them that are without law. Now, I'm going to go into Paul, and I'm going to show you why Paul spoke the way he spoke. Something happened back then. Again, this is called Judah Tremble under Rome. Okay? If you can get this book, get it. I'm on page 134. Let me go to 133. I'm on page 133. This is when the Messiah that happened when he was going to the feast and Paul was with him. Okay. When he went and turned over the tables and stuff like that, it wasn't as simple as you heard. It was more to that story, and that's what this book does. It tells you the rest of what you won't get out of just scripture or some pimp daddy in a suit trying to read it to you. Most of the evidence indicate that the true Messiah entered the temple plaza to overthrow the existing government of the high priest and to destroy the Roman garrison there. This is Rome. I think Herod had called for some of his people in Jerusalem to come and govern after they came and slaughtered I don't know how many. I'll say Negroes. So basically what they were. They were black Jews at that time, and they had a governor of the high priest, but he was from Rome. And the Messiah, who you call Christ, there were I hate to call them rebels, but there were other Jewish leaders before him that tried to get Jerusalem. That was most of their wars. Their wars wasn't with other nations. It was mainly against Jerusalem. Time after time after time again, just killing us by the thousands. Even by the time Christ came on the scene, they were still doing it. So by the time he uh, had his following, he also became a leader. Jerusalem back so we can get our land back, but it didn't work. Moreover, I believe that when the Messiah turned over the tables of the money changers and started to fight with the clerks, that this act was a preconceived scheme of his and well thought out. I believe that the Messiah used the commotion or riot as a decoy to allure the Romans out of their barracks in order to attack and destroy them. See, he was setting them up, trying to get them to come out. This is what the Messiah was doing. This is what you don't hear in Sunday churches. Now, Paul was there, but this attempt coup failed, and finally the Romans arrested the Messiah for inciting a riot, disorderly conduct, calling himself a king, and rebellion. Those were the charges that was a riot. Remember, he wanted, I think, a donkey to ride into the city. You know, just wanted to show us were crucified. Barabbas and the other rebels were being detained in Pilate's prison, insurrection and murder. And there was one named Barabbas, which lay bound with them that had made insurrection. A lot of times, Barabbas, let me read this, which lay bound with them that had made insurrection with him. A leader trying to get back Jerusalem. Yeah, he was a thief trying to get his city back and all the belongings that was in Jerusalem. Who had committed murder in the insurrection. Take notice Messiah's story at the same time. Probably now, I'm gonna keep going now. We're gonna get into Paul. Because Paul was there. The motive, no doubt, the fighter against the Romans, to a positive, docile one, and to present the Romans in the Gospels and their military profile. And in other words, they're finna go lie to the Roman people. With this accomplished, Paul and the Romans decided to the Messiah. See, they figured out a lot. Paul, who could go out within the Roman Empire. See, now Paul done had a change of heart. Also, Paul knew that if he had taught that the Romans oppressed and killed the Messiah and the Judeans, the Jews that were there, he would have been convicted and executed for stirring up trouble within the Roman Empire. That's why Paul's teachings he made it sound like it's for Jacob is the God for everybody, and Christ came for everybody. This is Paul starting this. Paul's preaching and teaching combined Judaism with paganism, and the result was called Christianity. That's Paul. Before this, or the Judeans, now that they done got Christ and they get ready to kill him, all of a sudden Paul had a change of heart. Malcolm X had a name for people like that. The first name is House. You figure out the rest. The early followers of the Messiah in Jerusalem didn't call themselves Christians. But Nazarenes, meaning keepers of the covenant, which mean the keepers of the law. The Hebrew word for keepers in the plural form is no reason. Okay. The Gentile followers of Paul in Antioch, Syria, but the apostles and disciples which followed the Messiah never called themselves Christians. See, Paul got everything kind of twisted, and to me, he's like the one that the founder of this love doctrine. But seems to me he had to because he was fearing for his life. Now I'm gonna go into this what happened to the Native American Indians. If you want to tell somebody, yeah, go ahead and celebrate it, but don't do this and don't do that. This is sick. This is one holiday I would tell nobody that's awoke and know that they're Israel. Well, you can go there, but just don't eat this and don't eat it. If they pray, just walk out. What's the point of even going? Why put yourself through that? You got all kind of stuff going through your head. You sitting there and you can't do this and you can't do that. That makes no sense at all. March 22nd, 1621. There was a peace treaty made between the Pilgrims and of the New World. More Europeans set sail for the Americas. Europeans called the natives, I got a name for everybody. The natives over the years taught the Europeans how to crop and build homes. The Pilgrims get drunk and never bathed. That's Edom. That's the Caucasian race. They came over here from England. As the Europeans grew over the years, they started to turn against Wampanoags. They formed a 4-brigade military around the Pilgrim villages. In 1637, the Wampanoag was having their green corn festival. Now it's Thanksgiving now. Before it was the green corn festival, but after they got taken down, the Europeans changed it. The next morning, the Indian village was surrounded by Dutch and the mercenaries, ordering the Indians to come out of their homes. Men, women, and children were slaughtered. They were burned, hung upside down, and infants slammed against walls and hung by their necks. Some of them infants were pulled out of women. They would cut the woman's stomach and pull the baby out with the umbilical cord and man. Come out, the children were slaughtered. They were burned, hung upside down, and infants slammed against the walls, hung by their ankles. Okay. The next day, the Massachusetts Bay Colony declared a day of Thanksgiving. Killing over 700 men, women, and children, they soon attacked village after village after village. Children under 14 years of age were sold into slavery, spreading Indian slaves abroad. Following a raid, the churches announced a second day of Thanksgiving, celebrating victory over the heathen savages. During this feast, the cut off heads was kicked around the streets like soccer balls, giving birth to the game called football. The chief of the tribe head was put on a pole in Plymouth for 24 hours. George Washington, they were doing it every time they took down a village. They was doing it too much. So they made it once a year. Abraham Lincoln made Thanksgiving a legal holiday during the Civil War. He also conquered tribe in Minnesota. The turkey is the symbol of the pagan god Anu or Ra, the men, women, and children that were slaughtered. The stuffing represents the infant children torn from the pregnant, murdered, tortured, and killed. See, some of this stuff kind of hard, but this is what you telling the people in your congregation. Outside called them out. The go, you can take part in it, but don't just don't do this and just don't do that. You totally disrespecting what these Indians went through. The cranberry sauce represents the bloodshed of the Native American men, women, and infants and children slaughtered by the Pilgrims. Today is a cover-up of the genocide slaughter of millions of Native Americans in order to steal and destroy their nation and land. See, you have a large congregation and you have a lot of your youngsters having problems with their family. You have to get them to understand the Most High has called you out. And if you're gonna straddle the fence like that, eventually Most High let you go and find somebody else. But this is the end time, the revelation, the time where the Most High is picking certain people. Now, if he picked you out of a family of 12, now you got 11 people that's going to go against you. You're going to let that bother you when the God that made the universe, the God that of all the people, all the nations that was on the earth, he created one for his own called Hebrew Israelites. Now you understand that we was chosen. So it's going to bother you now that he picked you to have a different understanding than that Christianity garbage. And you're gonna tell people as an elder, because it must be bothering the elder that so many of his body, the body of his church, the question is probably starting to sound the same. Can I do this? What if I go and stay for a couple of hours? See, that would let me know that in the back of these people's mind, they missing these pagan holidays. Instead of getting rid of it completely, because I could care less about any of my family, even my spouse. She even knows that I do not celebrate certain holidays, don't eat certain foods. I'm not going to compromise. I guess it's just the way I feel. It's a good feeling to know after all these years, there's no such thing as Negro, African American. Really no such thing as Negro either. But to know that you've been called African American all these years was nothing but a lie. Everything you know about life that came from the Caucasian race, even the planets, stars, science, medicine, the Most High have shown you all these lies that they've told. And when you go sit there and compromise on a once a year holiday, as evil as Thanksgiving is, I wish I can find that scripture when he said, "You put up a no God for me, I put up a no people for you." This is what upset him long years ago with our ancestors. So you're going, if that elder run across this video, you're going to have to toughen up and tell them youngsters in that church that I didn't call you, the Most High called you. And you're going to have to be, you're going to have to toughen it up, or just stay on the other side until you're ready. That's why you shouldn't rush this kind of knowledge to people when they're not ready, because it's easy to backslide, and you shouldn't rush baptism either, because I could not believe the video that I heard last night. You know, and I hate to speak against this guy because I was baptized in this guy's church. I just came out of it because of my age, that I feel that I can get out and talk and teach others and try to wake them up also. I don't like answering to someone that's 10, 20 years younger than me, calling themselves an elder. It's just a different feeling. Now, I don't disrespect it, but I can read for myself. That's just the way I see it. And I chose to start my own called the Three Hebrew Boys. you know, and all we do, we just wake up people with basically just milk. And if they feel like milk means basic understanding of that you're not African American, the basic things about the Bible, lied to, and once they catch on and they want more and more and more, and they feel like they have to be a part of a congregation, and then a lot of times we'll lead them to a congregation, uh, a camp. You know, it's one in particular, but that's what we do as the three Hebrew boys. We're older men, uh, 45 to 55, and we deal with older people. And I think this cat here that I listened to last night, I don't know, he can't be much. He can't be older than me. Uh, just judging by the way his mind changes. But it's his congregation, his churches is so large now. You're trying to please people, you're trying to compromise, and you can't do it. I wouldn't do it. But anyway, I wanted to make this short video. The day is Thanksgiving, and I'm finna get me some sleep. But if you got an elder out there trying to tell you, yeah, you can go and don't disrespect your family, and the Most High done called you out of this family because he needs you to do something as far as the truth and doing the work, there's no way. Go sit down. There's no way I would compromise that. I just couldn't do it, especially knowing what the future is going to be like and the coming war and this and that and this and that. That's all I wanted. I had a different speak today, but I had to attack that video. That was not, I can't believe what I heard. Anyway, this is Brother Yahweh.